1st of every month, Scars Publications, the organization that I produce magazines and bookstore, publishes new issues of cc&d and Down to the Dirt. So what I wanted to do, I'm seeing if there's any way.
Good luck. Yes.
Oh, but that's lenient. That's precarious. But we're going to try it. So this was released on the 1st of June from Down to the Dirt magazine. This is called Embracing Shadows.
That's scary.
It's actually from a statue in Vishakhapatnam in India with the effect on it. So I was like, that's a cool one. So that deserves it. So I was going to share with you 2 from that one and 2 from another one. And the themes that were in this one were about religion and potential violence.
Sure. Imagine.
Can't fathom that.
Fancy say that.
This is called Violence There.
Yeah.
Ancient mythology may have had fantastic stories of how gods would battle each other. But gods have been developed by man to explain mysteries to us mere mortals. Pray to the sun god, chant to the rain god to create the crops and satiate our simple survival. But as I see it, as time wore on, the gods we all claim to revere seemed to stop quarreling amongst themselves because... And wait a minute. If they're gods, shouldn't they figure this out before? But the gods figured out that instead of battling each other, us mere humans are much easier targets. And then, when that gets dull, let's not let the idiotic masses do the killing themselves. Because, sure, in the Old Testament, a god punished Adam and Eve, not because Eve ate from the tree of knowledge, but because she convinced a man that knowledge might be a good idea. And sure, there's a flood, a pretty big one at that, and there's a mass killing of firstborn sons unless you put lamb's blood and a cross on your door. Sure, I get it, there's violence there. But in the New and Improved Testament, they say to be kind, to turn the other cheek. But now, we're reduced to humans who fight in the name of God. And if we humans got any of our Colosseum-themed bloodlust from our gods, they must be having a field day watching us destroying ourselves.
Yeah.
It may have taken those gods too many millennia to figure it out, but now that they've let their violent side fester in us for long enough, those gods know they can just sit back and watch us mere mortals as a really entertaining show.
Oh, yeah, we are.
One recent book release. This is called Quibbling Over Religion. Believe me, I'm no historian. Because even though some form wars to fight for land, to fight for power, if you look at the bigger picture, I mean, historically, wars have been over us mere mortals quibbling over religion. My God is better than your God.
Sure is. Bigger.
They think, even though, what do you know, half the time in modern times, those fools are fighting over how to interpret the exact same God they've conjured up in the first place. For some reason, the phrase, love thy neighbor as you love yourself, keeps coming to mind. And so does the Inquisition. What a show. What a centuries-long show. It's just like the Crusades and witch trials went on for hundreds of years. And just like anti-Semitism, and that might have a thing or two to do with World War II.
Yeah. And
just try to say with a straight face that if there are Christians bombing abortion clinics, that there's no such thing in this day and age as Christian terrorism. Think about it. In modern times, the Holocaust might be too far away for you to remember, but Christians are bombing abortion clinics. Muslim extremists are shrouding women and beheading non-believers. Because even if people claim to believe in the same God, we can still find reasons to hate each other. If we believe in those gods, we can only say they taught us well. Because after all this time, when we mere mortals now have all this power, the only choice we have is to destroy ourselves. And so we do.
Yeah.
And that's enough. But it could be a taste of that one, and I'm excited with cc&d magazine. This happens to be the 24-year anniversary issue of cc&d. And I was so excited that I got to take a shot that was on Graffiti Park, and somebody actually had this sign. I'm like, that is so a name for an anniversary issue. Respect our existence or expect our resistance. I'm like, oh, I love it, man, definitely. So I I'm going to read a couple from this, and then I'm going to ask Thom, because he happens to have a poem accepted in it, if he would read it as Sacramento by 2 poems, and thank you. This first one, and they're happier. And they're happier than the other ones. This one is called, this one's from the performance art section, and this one's called Saving Fingers and Scooping Ice Cream. One summer day in August, I was 16 at the time. Sister Sandy and I were in the house. It was an average Thursday. Mom was golfing. Dad was at Brother Bob's farmyard doing something manlike, cutting wood or something. I was getting ready for a summer job interview that morning. The phone rang. I answer it. Suddenly, there's a strange voice on the other line talking, asking, "Is your mother there?" and my first instinct was that it was my dad's friend Greg on the other line. He always liked to put on fake voices and try to fool us kids. So I put on my most cordial voice and I said, "No, she's not. Could I take a message?" And then this voice started going on about how he's cut his finger and he has to go to the hospital. And then it finally occurs to me that it's my father, and he was in so much pain that he could barely speak. So he hangs up the phone, and Sandy and I try to call the golf course, hoping to catch Mom, but she's already left, and while we're waiting for her to come home, Dad comes home to get us and bring us to the hospital with him. His hand is wrapped up in a shirt, half soaked in blood. Sandy got into the wagon, but she told me to wait there at home for Mom. So Dad whipped a car out of the driveway and down the road, and I just stood in the driveway, suddenly alone, watching him drive away. I was so distraught. I started to cry. Well, but I had to keep myself together because I didn't want to make it sound serious when I told Mom to make her more nervous. I didn't want her to cry. He cut his figure. He needs stitches, but he wasn't going to die. So I waited at the front window, and when I saw her car drive down the road, I went to the garage. And when she pulled up, I just hopped in the passenger seat before she turned off the engine. "Come on, let's go," I said with a smile on my face. I tried to preface the story with, "Let me just say that everything is fine," but you know when bad news is coming up. Well, but I tried to make it sound funny, like Dad the klutz cut his hands. I hope I did a good job. For 11 blocks, I was the one that had to make sure that everything was okay, being reasonable when Dad actually lost the tips of 2 fingers. And it was an interesting excuse to explain why I was late for my first job interview. And I got that job at this iconic ice cream parlor. Now, only boys were allowed to scoop ice cream there, so my job was to work for their brand new candy counter. And one day at work with the boss, when deliveries were dropped off, I picked up a larger box, and the owner stopped me right there. Wait, that's heavy. You shouldn't be carrying that." And I laughed, and I explained that I carry 50-pound salt blocks for a water softener, that I'm fine. And I think maybe him seeing that women can stand up for themselves made it okay in the heat of summer when the lines are out the door for the ice cream for me to leave my empty chocolate counter and be the first female there to ever scoop ice cream with the big boys. Looking back, you may say I'm a feminist pioneer for being the first female to scoop ice cream there, but when I look back, I don't see it that way. I just remember homemade chocolate ice cream with chocolate chips, molasses bits, and added fudge, and that, my friends, was perfect when whipped into a perfect shake, no matter which gender did the work. This poem, because if I hear something I like, I'm like, "Hey, will you?"
And I did.
And
here it is.
And he's gonna get out.
It's called Black Hole Down, based upon a bad movie. Actually, background, which you don't need to know. I used to do poetry when big names were coming to the Cheltenham Festival at the Cheltenham Racecourse. So they'd all go in, there'd be 1,000 people, and during the interval I would improvise poetry as they came out. I got to see Dr. Stephen Hawking, Helen Mirren, the Monty Python people, the greatest minds of our time. I got to sit in the seat watching them. But this is what happened when I saw Dr. Stephen Hawking. Dr. Stephen Hawking said, "I know," I said, "you cannot get out of a black hole." Well, you can, but it takes an enormous amount of energy. As a metaphor and a parable, his scientific sharing lifted the depression and malaise that had hung over dark matter and the matter of black holes. Of course, most space is simply that, and energy exists in motion and in relationships. Yet to hold a scientific vision that change is possible once you allow your beliefs to change makes even religion just another set of projected beliefs. Science is not a religion. All its tenets are up for grabs. They just need more evidence to prove new theories. Thank you, NASA. Thank you, Dr. Stephen Hawking.
Yes.